Every year, even when I was a kid, we used to go watch the Ramchandra, the Ram Leela. We know the story, we know what happens, but you still watch it. Everyone knows the story. Now, that we used to go because this year, this one is doing the role, that one's doing the role. And because in small towns, I grew up in a small town, you kind of knew who it was. Someone you knew there. What are the challenges of writing a story that everybody knows? And from 3 or 4 different perspectives, do you throw in your own little interpretations? How do you make sure that it has something more than what everybody already knows? Especially since it's done so often by so many people, including Ramayana Sagar.
In some ways, it can be the most challenging thing to do. In some ways, for a writer, it's perhaps the easiest thing to do. If you write on the stories that primarily animate Indians, the Ramayana, Mahabharata and the Puranas. I'd heard this wonderful line once that no Indian hears the Ramayana for the first time. We're born with it. We're the oldest surviving culture in the world, the only pre-Bronze Age culture that is still alive. There are various reasons for, we can have various theories for why we have survived and the Egyptians didn't and the Mesopotamians didn't. But I think one of the reasons perhaps is that Indians never get bored of listening to the stories of our gods and goddesses again and again and again and again. And we keep hearing them in various different interpretations. So you spoke of the Ram Leela, but the Ram Leela is a relatively recent phenomenon, just a few centuries. I mean, the proto-Ram Leelas as such started in Goswami Tulsidas Ji's times. Before that, it was more kathakars. We used to have plays. So all the way from, ancient Sanskrit plays, for example, of Kalidasa, Bhasa, Rudraka. Practically all our stories essentially explored Ramayana, Mahabharata, Puranas again and again from different interpretations. So in some ways, actually, it's the easiest thing in the world.
So
because
what do you
Indians
add?
Want to,
but there has
you
to
have
be
to bring in
something
your interpretation, right? So for example...
So do you significantly change in the sense that, I don't know whether you've seen or heard of Sita Sings the Blues, that's a very feminist take on Ramayana and her take on it.
I haven't seen that. But
you've heard of it? Sita Sings,
Sorry.
You should check it out. It's
okay,
interesting.
I will.
It's a very interesting take from Sita's point of view, where Ram and the rest don't come out looking that great. It is a very feminist take on the whole story. So, I mean, that's interesting in its own way. The whole Ravan as the tragic hero is interesting in its own way. So, do you really say that what completely unique angle can I, or you don't pressure yourself with that? You just tell the story and you detail it.
I let it flow the way it does. So, do I follow, if you're saying that do I follow the one official story, then the counter question is, what is the one official story?
Right.
So I don't know about this Sita Sings the Blues, but there is a version of the Ramayana called the Adbhut Ramayana, which is an ancient version credited to Valmiki ji. There are 3 versions of the Ramayana credited to Valmiki ji: Valmiki Ramayana, Adbhut Ramayana, and the Ananda Ramayana. In the Adbhut Ramayana, it's there are 2 Ravans. The elder Ravan is the more powerful one, who is not killed by Lord Ram. He is killed by Goddess Sita. In that version of the Ramayana, there's a lovely interpretation of the Mahabharata line, which I'm sure you're aware of. Yada yada dharmasya. You would have
because of that serial. That used to be the conch.
Correct. There's an interpretation of that line in the Adbhut Ramayana. Yada yada dharmasya glanir bhavati suvrata abhyuthanam adharmasya tada prakriti sambhava. That remember, O keeper of writer's vows, whenever dharma is in decline or adharma arises, the sacred feminine will incarnate. And she will defend dharma, she will protect us. So this is perhaps what is the, I'm living in UK right now, I know what Western feminism is. Indian feminism is different. It's a strong, feminine, but there's no hatred for men. Western feminism, at least from my perspective, hatred for men comes kind of with the territory. So this is a very ancient version, not my version.